Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. Never in doubt tonight.
Never. I actually thought in the third period the Oilers were going to win that. I just had a feeling throughout the third period they were going to win it. And by this skin of my teeth, I was correct. 2-1 victory over the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are still loaded with dangerous hockey players, but missing maybe one or two or three pretty important ones too from the past.
Up tonight too.
Yeah. Bruce, this is our Two Good Things, Two Bad Things, Two Numbers podcast. What's your good thing?
Hey, yeah. Good game, good win. Real good performance, I thought, from most of Edmonton's leading lights. And I'll single out Leon Draisaitl, who I thought had a tremendous game tonight. And of course, he was in on both Edmonton goals, assist on Connor McDavid's brilliant goal, which it could easily be the good thing all on its own to open the scoring. But the one part of the brilliance on that goal was the perfection of the pass that Draisaitl put on McDavid's stick in the neutral zone. And one of the reasons why coaches cannot resist putting these two guys together is their capacity for finding one another with passes when they're moving at sort of different vectors and different speeds to one another, and yet they figured out and put it right on the tape. And McDavid is flying by Draisaitl maybe 10 feet away. Well, at the speed that he's moving, you either time that pass perfectly, or it's out ahead of him, or it's in his skates, or it's between his skate and his stick. And Leon just puts it right on the blade time after time. And because McDavid did not give up one smidgen of the speed he built up, he was able just to burn right through the two defenders, take it in on Andrei Vasilevsky for his second breakaway of the first period. And having been thwarted the first time around, he went to one of his real go-to moves when he's coming in from a little bit the left side, which is pull the puck back on his forehand and then go right upstairs with it. Perhaps most famous by the one that most of us remember as the Morgan Rielly goal in Toronto. Now 3 seasons past, but still showing up on the highlight reels from time to time. I saw it again the other day. And after he completely bamboozles Rielly, he does that same move on the Toronto goalie du jour, where he pulls it back to the forehand and tucks it right in under the bar. But the pass was exquisite. And then in the second period, it was Draisaitl's turn himself to get 2 breakaways. And the second one actually, where he intercepted the puck in the neutral zone and buzzed in alone and couldn't solve Vasilevsky. The other one where he took a absolutely terrific headman pass from Darnell Nurse, who had a great game to my eye, and Nurse fed Draisaitl. He went in alone. He tried to beat Vasilevsky and couldn't beat him with the original shot, but with 2 guys pouring in for the rebound. Vasilevsky tried to chip it out of danger, and he managed to chip it off of Victor Hedman's skate and into the Tampa net. So this was the game winner, broke a 1-1 tie in the second frame, and it stood up as the last goal. So really it was a break that won this game for Edmonton, but it was a break that, the old saying, you earn your breaks. And in this case, Edmonton earned the chance around the Tampa net with the great pass and breakaway move and the chaos that resulted. And this time they got the bounce and it wound up in the net. Easily could have been Kapanen following up on the play, who slammed it in as it was the way it worked out. So Leon came away from that with a goal and assist. I liked his game really in all 3 zones in this game. Not his greatest game on the dot, just 8 out of 20. But by possession, He played 17 and a half minutes at 5-on-5, and Edmonton outshot Tampa 11-6. So Tampa got 6 shots in almost 18 minutes, which is a really great suppression rate. And he used to get Leon in games like this, and he changed trade chances. But more and more and more, he's becoming this reliable guy in his own end of the ice, and particularly good at moving the puck out of his own end, which is really what you want to see. So, all that said, I'll choose from a multitude of possible choices. 1-1, 2+2, and a 2-1 win. I mean, first star. So I guess I'm not going to be too far out of range with picking Leon as the good thing from this game.
Leon Draisaitl, you can often tell when he's going to have a good game. He just comes out flying. Bad games, he comes out straight legs, standing tall, and they're becoming fewer. They're fewer this year, where he has
thing,
that, and some games he warms up really properly, warms up well some games and not so much others. I think it has to do with the beating he takes and the fatigue of the league. Not every player can be up. It's just more noticeable with Leon, like, because you can actually see it physically in the way he skates, whether he's going to be on or not. I agree with you, Bruce, that he's been a much better defensive player this year. I think there was about for about we're what 9 weeks into the season, let's say, and I'd say out of probably 7 of the 9 weeks, he's been really good. I think he had a slump there for about a week and a half defensively, and it was at just about the time when he was with McDavid and then shifted off. Like, I think that always screws him up, honestly, as a defensive player. Just the role change, not easy.
He goes from center to wing anytime he makes that change.
Yeah.
The only time he ever plays wing, but he always plays wing when he's with McDavid. And any other line, no matter who the other wingers can both be centers, Leon plays center.
Yeah, so I think that changed. Like, he starts to that line starts to fade a bit, which is typified by both of them kind of slacking a bit on defense because they're playing together, and I think they expect offense to come magically, and often it does. And then he switches to center, and then he struggles for a while. But as I say, it's been few and far between his weaker defensive games and his weaker defensive moments all year. He's probably cut his worst defensive moments in half, I'm going to guess. The most glaring kind of things where he leaves people open in the slot. He's doing that much less, and that's fantastic. He is such a great hockey player, and tonight he really was on fire. You mentioned that pass from Nurse, Bruce, to Draisaitl. Yeah, unfortunately he didn't get an assist, and no point. What a pass! You know what, Bruce? Kurt and I were talking about this last podcast, and I was watching for it tonight, and thinking about something you'd mentioned previously about that game more than 2 years ago now against Los Angeles, where he got pushed into the side of the net and he got that hip injury, and there was really weak in the playoffs that year. And then last year also had a poor playoffs, even worse actually than the year before. And your opinion has been that he's never looked quite right since then. And it's only now seeing him look right that I completely get your point. And I think you are correct. I think that injury that he suffered long ago in that useless game against Los Angeles on a useless play has been a huge impediment to Darnell Nurse, because seeing him skating tonight, the way he's skating, he is a completely different player. And I think so there's a number of things going on. He just is able to read the play and head off problems. If he creates a problem by being out of position, he can usually make up for it with his tremendous skating. He can shake off forecheckers with his skating. He can engage physically with his skating and get into people, hit them, hit them harder. Everything is better in his game. Everything is just that much better. Like, let's say 25% better, because I think we're seeing finally a healthy Darnell Nurse. And it's fantastic, because it was mystifying what went wrong with them, frankly. And that does offer a coherent explanation to me about why a player who is consistently kind of trending up slowly as an elite NHL defenseman suddenly fell off a cliff, and is now it's as if he was just right back up to the top again where he was previously. If this is the case and this is true and what we're seeing is real, this is as I've been saying on the podcast for a few weeks now, this is the best news the Edmonton Oilers could have. It was the main question for the Oilers heading into the season, whether or not Nurse could step up and be a top flight NHL defenseman again, and he is that.
Yeah, you can judge him against his salary or not, but I don't think there's any question that he, whatever if you want to rank him in that basis, he's an X $1 million defenseman. He's like several $1 million better this last while than
Yes.
before. And the game he got hurt was actually against Colorado. It was game 78 of 21-22 season that they
Oh,
clinched the
I thought it was the
playoffs. So it wasn't
Kings.
wasn't a nothing game. It was a big game, um, and they made the playoffs without a cost because it was just a weird play in front of the net. Like I still don't know what happened, but he tore his hip flexor, and that's a pretty. I don't know if that counts quite as a core body thing. What I do know is that he missed the last 4 games of the season. There were huge question marks about whether he'd be able to go in the playoffs. And of course, Nurse being Nurse, he toughed it out and he played, 3 rounds of playoffs that year with the hip flexor. And I think it took a toll. Like it didn't probably heal the way it might have. And anyway, that was sort of the first um, sort of significant. And then his contract kicked in the next year, and of course the level of scrutiny got even that much higher than before. And he's always been a lightning rod in that sense. And some of it he brings on because he does make, he's a high event player. There's no question about it. But the number of high events the ratio of high events in the good end to the bad is way improving. Tonight there was a great play where some guy came racing and it looked like he had space to come down on the other wing, and Nurse came over and cut that guy off and just cut him right out of the play, took the puck off and skated off with it, and the play was over.
Yeah.
The guy never got near the net. And and then there was that stretch pass. And I think we've probably seen at least one of those per game for the last 4 or 5 games now, where Nurse picks a puck up inside his own blue line, looks up, ping, it's on the stick of a guy at the far blue line. In this case, Draisaitl with a clear-cut breakaway. Well, nice play, and he was, he was under consideration for my good thing tonight as well because of his strong play, and it's really encouraging. Like he's been, I would say, excellent since the beginning of November.
Well, we've kind of snuck in an extra good thing between us there.
Sure.
Uh,
Why not?
let me
Just
just
beat
see, 25
just beat the Bolts, eh?
Yeah,
So.
he's got 9 stretch passes for grade A shots so far this year. And let's see where, yeah. Anyway, I can't say what kind of streak he's on. But Bruce,
He
my
made
good
one
thing
recently
is
where the guy sent in missed the shot, so it wasn't credited, right?
that
Because that can
sometimes
happen too.
happens. My good thing, Bruce, is well, it's related to the Oilers holding the lead in the third period, which is something that this season they've really struggled with. I mean, they'd be in first place if they had a better record at that, and they're not. But tonight they did it. And as I was watching the game, I was expecting them to do it. I just saw a team that looked like they'd made up their minds. They decided they were going to do it. It's one thing to want to do it, but they decided, and they started to pay the price. And one shift in particular, I think there was about 7 minutes left in the game. Tampa Bay was putting on a lot of pressure with Hedman out there, and it was 2 plays on Victor Hedman. First, Ekholm just made a very solid defensive stop. Down low, Hedman was trying to hit someone in the slot area, and Ekholm went down. Uh, Knee, stick on the ice, one knee on the ice, stick on the ice, and got it with his stick, blocked the pass. The play went on, and shortly thereafter, Hedman had a chance to blast it from the point, and Kasperi Kapanen went out and blocked that shot, which did unbelievable. That takes a lot of courage to do,
Yeah.
and he did it. So he got hurt. Like that hurt. He'll be hurting, but that was a huge play, and the fans erupted, and that was a fantastic little sequence where that typified, I thought, the Oilers' commitment to playing both smart and hard defense. There was other times I noticed the forwards, instead of going to score another goal, they made sure they had a forward back at all times. And I remember one play in particular, Nuge getting back, and it's so often these guys don't. They go for that goal, and they've paid for it. They pay for it all the time, when they're playing poorly, and it's why they lose more games than they should, because of that proclivity to slack off on defensive play. Not tonight. And it's a good signal. And it's what we saw again last year for long stretches of play, including in the playoffs. It's the only way they're going to win the Stanley Cup. And it's how they won tonight.
I'll add Janmark in there as he could have gone for the empty net when he got the puck with about
Yeah.
45 seconds left, and Hedman was right in front of him. And if he shot at the empty net, he would have had to put it through Hedman. And the chances of the puck hitting that giant monster, talented, fast twitch defenseman were significantly non-zero. And instead of going for the glory of putting it in the net, he made the smart play of firing it off the wall. He gave himself sort of a chance that he might bank it into the net, although he didn't get the angle right. But at the time, my wife was saying, "Why didn't he shoot?" And I'm thinking, that's the right play. He got it out, he got it down, killed 10, 12 seconds, and he got off because the PK unit had played the first 1 minute of that 142 at the end, where they were potentially 4v6, and they were 4v6 for most of it. And the clear and the change was essential at that moment, and he did not sort of look up and see a path down the ice and try and he would have missed it anyway.
Yeah,
He's not exactly a sharpshooter. So I thought that was a play where sacrificed potential offense for safe defense. And that was a poster boy kind of play, of which there was quite a few in this game, especially as we got deeper into it.
Bruce, what's your bad thing?
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of bad in this game, but I'll go with the Tampa goal. That so briefly, tied the game at 1-1 in the middle of the second period, and only stayed tied for 1:56. And this was an example of I would say a careless play where Bouchard had the puck in the corner, and his play, I thought, clearly was to go up the wall with it. And I'll say this about Tampa. They did this a lot in this game, where they were very hard to clear the puck out against. They're good along the walls, good sticks, good positions. And you couldn't just get the puck past them all that easily at times, and they keep it in the zone. But in this play, Bouchard went up the middle, and the puck got deflected. And so the pass, instead of going out in the neutral zone, came across sideways, and was it Kucherov that got it first? And right away you're going, oh no, here we go. And sure enough, tic-tac-toe, and the puck goes out into the slot, and it was, in the end, Jake Gensel. It was Point who picked it up, and then he passed it to Kucherov, and he passed it to Gensel. Well, those three guys have done that before, one or two times. You just don't want to be giving them any extra chances in the zone. And it wasn't just Bouchard. Rich Bryan was unable to block the shot or take out the pass, either one of the two things. And Ekholm got beat on that play as well. And so, in the context of the game, tying goal, it was a bad thing, but it's also hockey. It happens fast.
They're really good players on the other team.
It wasn't like a rotten, stinky, no good, terrible thing. It was just sort of the bad thing that I can see right here on my little score sheet. Oh, yeah, there's a bad thing.
Yeah.
TBL.
It will happen with Bouchard. And some people make a huge deal out of it. The fact that he has turnovers like that, I get it.
Ekholm had one too. Kucherov got a breakaway off of it. Mistakes happen.
Yeah.
But Skinner had the answer that time, so you tend to not think about those ones after.
What we also see with Bouchard is the highest rate of major contributions to grade A shots we've seen since we started tracking this for a defenseman. He's just a
Mhm.
grade A shot machine in terms of manufacturing them for the back end with his passing. So if he's going to make, he is going to make the odd glaring mistake, and people, as many critics will jump on them as heinous errors. But man, I got a lot of time for this player. I just think he's a fantastic hockey player, and so I take the bad with the good, like you do with almost every offensive player. There's very few of the great offensive elites who are also superstars on defense. It does happen now and then, but most of them
Yeah.
most of them have that focus on offense and a few hiccups on defense. Bruce, my bad thing
Hmm.
is the offside call. And I know if you're watching the broadcast on TV, both Bob Stauffer and Craig McTavish mentioned how much they hate this. And of course, when it happens, when the Oilers catch someone on the offside and a goal's called back, I like it. So I have to admit that. But both Stauffer and McCavish made the point the game would be better off without this rule, without the ability to challenge. There'd be two or three calls during the year, which are obviously wrong and people would be upset about. But we'd get rid of this, what is it, 30, 40, 50 goals called off in the NHL each year, maybe more than that. I don't know how many it is. Um, that are just these minuscule mistakes of players being just by the smallest fraction, you can't even tell unless you got maybe better replays than they show on TV whether the player's offside or not. You just
Oh,
can't
it was
tell.
really close.
It's ridiculous, Bruce. And it gets rid of good goals, essentially. That was a
Yeah.
hell of a play by the Oilers.
Yeah.
Hyman behind the net made a great play. I think it was McDavid in on it. Nice shot by Ekholm. It was just a fantastic play where they were grinding for the puck down low and they won it and they scored a big goal. And to have that call back on a,
That's
I'm going to
just
make a
shocking.
comparison, Bruce. It's like because it's like photo radar. All kinds of driving errors cause accidents. Just
You're going
tons of driving
1K
errors.
over the speed limit.
Yeah, but because they can do photo radar, they can't do
Yeah.
distracted driving very well. It's hard to catch people distracted driving. But because you can do photo radar, because you have the technology, you end up calling it. That's not a good reason to do something. Like I'm not saying there aren't good arguments to stop speeders. But it's
Right.
because of technology. Sometimes these things are driven by the technology, and this is driven by the fact they have this replay technology. They can get it more right than before, but it doesn't mean you have to use the technology if it's ruining the game. And I think this is ticking off hardcore fans, and I don't like it, and I think they should get rid of it as well.
Yeah, well, there was one angle, the last one they showed, and I would like to have a longer look at it, where it looked like on one frame, Hyman's skate was still clearly still on or directly above the edge of the blue line, and the puck was still on the blue line. And the next frame, they were both clearly over. And so, what are you doing now? Subdividing and sort of calculating in between frames which one might have gone first in that 30th of a second? Here's an idea, NHL. Trust your damn linesmen. Those guys are good.
Yes.
They make almost all the calls are right. The ones that they don't get right are so close. And I mean, when I grew up watching hockey, it was all about simultaneity. If the player wasn't in clearly ahead of the puck, they come in, hit the line together. But now we have the technology, and all the other leagues are doing it. So we have to show that we're a sexy 21st century league with our sexy replay coaches challenge stuff where we can stop the fastest sport in the world for 5 or 10 minutes, look over these freaking replays. Never mind the fact that the error by Hyman and the linesman, I guess you could say at the blue line, occurred before at least three turnovers by the Tampa Bay Lightning in their own end. All of those get wiped off like they never happened because of something that happened before any of those turnovers. And it is beyond annoying. It's right up
Ooh.
there and aggravating.
I don't, in the end, I don't like when there's goals and they're looking at the puck cross the line trying to figure. I'm okay with that. Like I think
Oh, sure.
that's good. Even though like when I'm watching European football and they do the VAR signal, I always think, oh, I hate that. Like these huge breaks in the game. It just and other
Yeah.
sports too. In basketball, I hadn't watched basketball in a while, and there's all of these new breaks in the game to watch this, that, the other thing on video. And I just thought, this stinks. It just stinks. So NHL, the offside rule stinks to high heaven.
That's since day
Uh,
one.
people are done with. I think fans are done with it, and get rid of it. Do you think they will? Do you think there's any chance?
No chance. Once they make up their mind for a bad rule, they've kept the betting point for 25 years, David, and they've never fixed that. So, and the thing that I find most annoying, or one of the things that annoys me about the replay rule, is that the original play that caused all of the hubbub, the Matt Duchene, the infamous Matt Duchene goal, where he was like 5 feet over the blue line, and then the puck came to him, went in. The linesman waved it off. I'm certain of it. You watch the replay. A Colorado guy fires the puck up the ice. It hits one defender in the neutral zone, then it hits a second defender in the neutral zone, and then it bounces over the line after Duchene has gone over. And I'm sure the linesman ruled that the opposition put the puck over their own blue line, therefore legalizing Duchene.
Oh,
He was wrong, and I mean he got it wrong because that's not
so it
how
was
the
a
rule reads.
misinterpretation of the
But I
rule.
think that was the interpretation, and all anybody saw was the last sort of five 2 seconds
I
of it where
see.
Duchesne's clearly over the line and the puck comes over it to him, and you see this 2 second clip without the context. And I know, let's mess up the game for the next 40 years because of this one play. And, you know, I mean,
Number one
is
rule
it
of the
worth
internet.
fixing one Matt Duchene sort of shady goal by changing everything? I don't think so,
Number
but
one rule of the internet, Bruce, is
I
never
don't have a
believe a
vote.
video. Never
Yeah,
believe a video because the context is missing. And
almost
context is
always.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
almost always. It's so easy to get fooled. You think you've seen
yeah,
something and you haven't because
yeah,
a clip of someone talking has been shortened, some information's been left out on
yeah.
purpose often,
Hmm.
and it's easy to get caught by it. And
Yeah,
that's funny that that's what happened seemingly that video
yeah. No,
told a
it's
story that wasn't true even. So,
yeah.
and everyone just made an assumption. Oh, look at how that terrible lineman. We have to
Yeah,
correct this.
he was offside, but it was the linesman got screwed up by what happened.
Yeah,
Is I'm
fair enough.
convinced that's what happened, and of course they never interviewed the linesman because you're not allowed to talk to NHL officials ever at any time about any calls, like they're sacrosanct.
Yeah.
Like I say, trust your linesman. Every once in a while they screw up. Guess what? Once in a while, every player in the league screws up. Right? Vasilevsky screwed up tonight. Potentially cost his team the win
Well,
with
he
his
was good.
misplay on the replay. He had a fantastic game. But, you know, anyway.
What is your number?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go with the number 5. And it's a double dipper. 5 clear cut breakaways by the 3 players who've won the last 8 scoring championships. 2 for Connor McDavid, who's won 5 of them. 2 for Leon Draisaitl, who's won 1 of them. And 1 for Nikita Kucherov, who's won 2 of them. And the goalies stopped 4 out of the 5. McDavid scored cleanly, and Draisaitl scored, in the aftermath of being stopped on the breakaway and the chaos, aftermath. And in a 2-1 game, you wouldn't expect to see 5 breakaways for players of that caliber. I mean, by definition, you wouldn't expect it to wind up 2-1 just from those plays. You'd expect a few goals. So there was that. So you can't say this game didn't have its moments of offensive excitement, even as it was largely a defensive contest. But the more significant 5 speaks specifically to the defensive context. This is now 5 games in a row for Stu Skinner holding his opponents to 2 goals or fewer.
Nice.
5 in a row. And this is after earlier in the season, he just had 3 out of 14 where he was keeping the other guys to uh, to below 3. And clearly, if you're with the Oilers and you hold the other guys below 3, you're going to win most of those games. And in fact, he's won 4 of those 5 games. 6-2 over Rangers, 32 saves, 4-1 over Colorado, 27 saves, lost 1-0 to Vegas, 15 saves. And of course, he took a lot of grief for that, losing 1-0. Then a solid 4-2 win over St. Louis, where not only did he play a great game in goal, but he made an outlet pass on the first goal and drew the only penalty in the entire game that Edmonton drew that led to the power play goal that turned out to be the game winner. So he even chipped in offensively in that game. And now tonight, against Andrei Vasilevsky, who many view as the best goalie in the world, shots are 25-22, and the score is 2-1 Edmonton, and they hold that 2-1 lead for basically the entire back half of the hockey game. And obviously, Stu had a lot of help defensively, but he came up with some mighty fine saves. He stoned Kucherov on that breakaway. He stopped a deflection from the slot. He stopped a clean shot by Brandon Hagel with like 12 seconds to go, just before the chaos and the big kerfuffle at the end of the game, which I think we're still going to talk about. But he came up with huge saves in huge moments, and he was one of the big keys to Edmonton's win tonight.
He was very good. Very good. Sure. He looks solid. And, the grade A shots did favor the Oilers considerably. 12-7 on grade A shots. The subset of 5 alarm shots were 4 each. Okay. Kucherov's move, if that was his move, like to leave the puck behind, that wasn't a very good one. Like I thought, Louis and Jack Michaels were talking about how they thought that was a planned move. Maybe it was, but it looked to me like he just missed a puck. Well, if it was,
he tried to get
wasn't even close.
Tried to suck Skinner into going with his movement and just and snooker the puck through him.
Yeah, it just seemed a little bit off. Not even close, because that was, in the end, a fairly easy save. He made it too soon, I think, or something. I don't know. Like, he needed to sell it better because it wasn't close to succeeding. Bruce.
Natural stat trick has it, by the way. Expected goals 2.26 for Edmonton, 1.84 for Tampa. So slight edge Edmonton, but both numbers round to 2. And
I think we'd have it about 3-2.
Skinner, yeah. Anyway, Skinner did his job, and he was a big part of the win. And he was, in fact, the second star. Vasilevsky the third.
Bruce, my number is 0.607. That's the Oilers' point percentage, the all-important stat in the NHL for a team. If you're above 600, you're a playoff team in the NHL. I don't think there's been a team that's been above 600 that hasn't made the playoffs. And finally, the Oilers are there. 28 games into the season, like a third of the season, they're there. And 16 wins, 12 losses. Fantastic, Bruce. It's good that this is coming about. And it looks like there's a couple teams kind of scratching for 8th place, Calgary and Colorado, that we'll see what happens with those two teams. There seems like there's 7 teams that are pretty set, I think. And then there's those two. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 7. And the Oilers right now are the 7th. The Avs getting it together, probably, right? McCarr and McKinnon are such fantastic hockey players. Calgary's been a surprising team, but they're now 14 wins and 15 losses. So 78 goals for, 87 against for Calgary. We'll see what happens. And maybe another team's going to come on. Like, you never know. Utah may pick it up, or who else is in there? Seattle or St. Louis. You might have some team like that suddenly get hot. But good for the Oilers. It's been a bit of a battle to get to where they are, but they didn't quite torture us so badly as they did last year. Thank goodness. And I think it speaks to the increased maturity on the team. more players realized last year what they had to do to win, which is to play disciplined defensive hockey. And I think that those good habits clicked in with more of them earlier on than last year. And maybe there's some good health also. Like McDavid, his injury was not so bad. He came back quickly, and he came back as good as ever. Nurse is coming on, and Hyman looks like his old self again. Hyman looks very chipper and limber out there, slinking around the ice. Hymander. And so good news, Bruce. They're there. Now they just got to stay there, of course. So they got they got some more tough games ahead of them, but hopefully they'll do it. Keep above 600.
Yeah, 600 is a slam dunk to make the playoffs. The Oilers have been over that mark for the last several years now, and it's the elite teams. I think you need 99 points to be 600 at the end of the season. So let's call 100 points, and it's it's something to target. And obviously, it's a long season. There's going to be ups and downs, but the Oilers started 0-3-0 and got blown out 3 games in a row at home. And since then, now 16-7-2. And that's a convincingly good record.
That is a good record.
They're a good team. So, David, we should talk about the controversial play that ended the game, or basically
sure. Let's finish there. Yeah, I didn't. It's marked on the play-by-play, Bruce, as a high stick call, and I thought it was going to be called off because it was obviously a high stick that put the puck in the net. If it even went in the net, so they didn't know it went in the net. They thought it might be a high stick. I don't know what they were talking about, honestly. Like, I guess they had to review it.
The puck popped up and over the crossbar, and Paul tapped it back. And I mean, puck by definition was over the crossbar when he hit it, because that was the only way he could bat it back in front of the net. But he batted it into Nurse, and it hit Nurse, and it dropped to the ice. And then between Nurse and Skinner, none of the cameras convincingly showed me the puck was in the net. I was never convinced it wasn't in the net, like over the goal line at some point. I think it's possible that what Tampa was arguing was that even if it didn't go in, that Nurse had handled the puck inside the blue paint, in which case it would be a penalty shot. And, they would have their choice of Kucherov, point, etc., to take that shot. 8 seconds left in the game. I mean, it was a very high anxiety moment. And
Isn't the point of the high sticking rule is to not have players try to high stick the puck so you don't take out someone's eye?
No, I think they got it right in the intent of the rule. I mean, he clearly high sticked the puck with the intent of creating a scoring chance. And whether it bounces in off the other team or not, my understanding is that you high stick it and hits the goalie and goes in, it's not a goal. It's just considered, but if it hits another player, Jack and Louie were saying that Tampa got a goal like this in their last game. I watched most of that game, but I didn't see that particular goal. Or it might have been an earlier game that they were referencing. But anyway, they didn't get this one. Too bad.
Too bad for Tampa. That's karma. All right.
Edmonton gets a call against the Florida team. I mean, maybe that should be my headline in my.
Yeah. Well, Bruce, let's leave it there. You got some game grades to write, and what's the next game?
They play Thursday night at Minnesota.
Yikes!
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, I forgot my third thing. There was the 5. This was the 5th time Edmonton had a 2-1 lead at home in the third period, and the first time they won that game in regulation, and they won it by that very score of 2-1.
Excellent.
All the other games went to overtime, other than the one they lost in regulation to Vegas. So it was nice to see them just pin it down,
Never in doubt.
Never in doubt. Never in doubt.
Bruce, thanks for talking tonight.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.